Hello, everybody. How's it going? Can you guys hear me? Hold on a minute. Let me see what we got going on. Okay. You guys can hear me, right? Okay, great. Yay. Hey, guys. Oh, my God. I know I haven't done live and haven't went live in a while, and I haven't really posted. I've just been living life, but I've been good. I'm on like an intense workout routine, so that really consumes a lot of my time. And oh my gosh, but I'm snatched. Oh my goodness. I'm loving my new body. But I'm back with content. I have still been on YouTube, like in other people's lives and commenting. Um, and on my Instagram as well. I post like every day on my Instagram. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, it's just finewomanhood. So follow me on there. I also post myself on my Instagram, like me, the woman behind the screen. I don't cam up on here, but I am cammed up on my Instagram. Like I'll post myself. Um, so wait, what? Surgery? No, I didn't get surgery. I didn't get anything. I've just been working out. No, sorry. Can you guys hear me? Sounds clear on my end. But hey guys, how have you guys been? Wow, I feel like there's so much to talk about. I think the last time I went live it was when Roe versus Wade got overturned. So I haven't went on since then. I still have that live up. Um I know I've missed going live. It's been a good month, I think. Um since I went live, and it's been even longer since I've uploaded just general womanhood videos. So I'm definitely going to start uploading more of my videos where I'm just talking about womanhood in general. But when I go live, I like to show you guys things and talk about things that are actually going on. And then I have my womanhood videos, which is like just womanhood development and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, but I mean, I've been here. I've been good, y'all. I've been good. And I've been dating. Ooh, child. I feel like I should do lives like about, well, I tend to always talk about dating, but how it's been going. So I was in a relationship, but my man moved because he wanted to pursue his career even further. He was in a career being not a secret, um, a federal agent. So he moved cities to pursue like a different role. And, we just started dating. So I wasn't like so serious that I'm going to pack up my stuff and go with him. And there ain't no ring on my finger. So, girl, no, I ain't doing that. So he left, but he might come back. I don't know. But we still keep in touch for the most part. But I've been dating, and it's been interesting. And I'll keep you guys posted. But I'm kind of enjoying doing my own thing. I'm really not in a rush to meet anyone new and get in a new relationship. But other than that, everything has been good. What kind of workout? So I've been doing Pilates, but like in the studio. I haven't been doing it at home. And I've been doing it like 4 times a week and then some cardio. So that's honestly been taking up a lot of my time on top of going on dates, hanging with my girls, and working my job. So it's been taking up a lot of my time. And like when I was really on here, I was just doing at home workouts. So I had all the time in the world. But yeah, I'm going to start making time to come back on here now. But I'm glad to be making live. So I'm just going to get right into it. I wanted to create this live because I was on my burner account. Those who don't know, I do have a burner account. And I was kind of going back and forth with someone on this video. Let me share my screen. On this video about women like over the age of 35 and their value. And we've already heard on this space that men tend to not value women the older they get, and they use all these, scientific reasons that have to do with your fertility, and that you age and you just get old and blah blah blah, right? Well, I have some things that I want to show pertaining to that, pertaining to like the whole childbearing thing. So we know Roe versus Wade happened, right? But there's been some other information that has come out from the census regarding fertility rates for women over the age of 35, compared to younger women. And, for me, I'm 27 years old. I'll be 28 at the end of this year. I don't have any kids. I definitely plan to have some, but I'm not really scared if I have kids at like, post 30. That's not a fear for me. My mom had me closer to 40 herself. So I'm not. So did all my aunts, and they're perfectly fine. So let me show you guys this. And this particular YouTuber, can you guys see? Okay. And this particular YouTuber, her name is just Pearlythings. I've never even heard of her, but apparently she's pretty big in the manosphere space. But she is a white woman. And if you look at her content, let me actually share her Instagram first. Wait a minute. If you look at her content, it's like all she just talks to like Black people. It's like this white woman who just seems very, very invested in in holding Black women accountable for whatever. I don't even know. But she's kind of trying to take on like a fresh and fit type of vibe, but from her perspective, a woman's perspective, but like this classy type of woman perspective or type of look. I don't even know how to describe her, but she basically mirrors all red pill rhetoric. And she talks about this on her channel, and she tries to explain it to modern women, OnlyFans girls, and lots of Black women she talks to on her channel. I don't know if I've came across her like getting called out for talking crazy to Black women, like one of those videos of her trying to be Black or whatever. I haven't come across anything like that, but I'm sure there's something like that out there on this woman. She's pretty popular. She has 220,000 subscribers. Just Pearlythings. So she's really no different than other red pill manosphere people. But let me show you guys this particular video. Just to I'm going to show you guys this video just to introduce the other information that I'm going to show you, to not in a way debunk what they're saying exactly, but to give you guys a different perspective and just in general the facts. Because when I come on here, I show you guys facts. We're not talking like it's just, we're just talking facts over here. Okay, wait, let me do this one more time because I tripping. Oh, there we go.
Doesn't mean you keep going to 60 and 70. Again, going to extremes.
I'm 53. That's not extreme.
No, but you keep mentioning 60.
Talking to your
70.
mic. Talking to your mic.
You keep mentioning 60, 70. That's extreme from 35.
But I'm
because
53.
you don't go from. You haven't mentioned a woman at 40. You're jumping years. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying just because my point is to begin with, just because you're 35 and you're single doesn't mean you'll be single at 40, at 60, at 70.
Well, but the problem is at 35, you've lost all the things that men value. That's the problem, because men value femininity, fertility, and they value youth. So you can't say you're youthful when you're almost halfway through your life. You can't say you're fertile when you're about to have geriatric pregnancy. So it's like, and you look worse than you did at 25, right? So the way you're thinking is like a woman.
You don't have someone at 35 doesn't mean you keep going to 60 and 70 again.
Okay, so that was the video. She kind of said a lot just in that little clip that I can talk about, but one thing she also said towards the end that really kind of irked me was like, as a woman herself, she said, "You're thinking like a woman," to another woman. And this is probably the main problem I have with people in the red pill manosphere space, is they talk to women like they literally want you to man up as a woman. Like, man up and take it, man up and start thinking like a man, start understanding men. I actually had a guy that I was dating like almost a year and a half ago. I made a video about him, but I took it down. He was the black high value man, and he was literally like a black attorney. He lived in a high rise building on the 50th floor. Like, he had it going on. I'm not gonna lie, he worked hard for his money, but his attitude, oh God, it was disgusting. He was all into Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fit, everything. And he literally told me one day that I need to understand men better. I snapped back at him and I was like, it's not my job to understand men. I'm a female. I'm a woman, okay? I'm not going to sit here and try to understand you and your plight. I got my own damn plight. What do I look like? If anything, for any man of any color, of any profession, the most I can do is offer you some sympathy. But I can't offer you full and total empathy because I'm not a man. And the difference between empathy and sympathy is, I think empathy is when you can actually feel someone's pain, like you're going through it. And sympathy is when you're offering like a supportive type of pain. Like you're not feeling it like you're an empath, but you have sympathies. It's something that you extend towards someone else, like in a way of support. That's kind of like how I see sympathy, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there's differences between the two. So that's the most I can offer to these guys who talk about their plight, is sympathy. But I can't sit in your pain with you because that's not my plight. I'm a woman. So it aggravates me when men want to get on here and shame women for thinking like women. I'm never going to think like a man. I know that was a whole movie and a book and everything from Steve Harvey, but you guys know what I mean when I say think like a man. I don't mean like Steve Harvey think like a man, but think like a guy, as in understanding his role as a man and the struggles and benefits that come with it. That's not my position. That's not my place. That's not my role. I don't care to have that role. Genuinely, I don't, because I am a woman. I enjoy being one. I'm obsessed with being the best woman that I can be day in and day out. I have no desire to try to understand what men are going through. Does that mean I don't care? Does that mean that like I wish them all, like, I don't know, that I'm going to condemn all men? No, of course I care about, if other men are okay and other men are healthy and doing great and have opportunities to flourish, but I don't have to understand all those those delicate processes because I'm not meant to. Like, I'm not meant to, I'm not conditioned to, I'm not biologically wired to. That's just not my place. It's not my position. And it's weird to hear another woman shame another woman for being a woman. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's very strange. And I'm gonna play it one more time for before I continue. I'm gonna play it one more time for those of you coming in, like the video.
Femininity, fertility, and they value youth. So you can't say you're youthful when you're almost halfway through your life. Like, you can't say you're fertile when you're about to have geriatric pregnancy. So it's like, and you look worse than you did at 25, right? So the way you're thinking is like a woman.
You don't have someone at 35 doesn't mean you keep going to 60 and 70. Again, going to extremes.
I'm 53. That's not extreme.
No, but you keep mentioning 60.
Talking to your
70.
mic. Talking to your mic.
You keep mentioning 60, 70. That's extreme from 35.
But
that's
I'm 53.
Because you don't go from. You haven't mentioned, okay, a woman at 40. You're jumping years. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying just because, my point is, to begin with, just because you're 35 and you're single doesn't mean you'll be single at 40, at 60, at 70.
Well, but the problem is at 35 you've lost lost all the things that men value. That's the problem, because men value femininity.
Okay, and so the Black woman here is trying to tell her that just because you're single at 35 or after 30 doesn't mean you're the rest of your life. You are predestined to be alone. She's actually 100% correct on that. Majority of marriages that happen in the United States between both men and women, majority of the time are happening when people are 30 years old and up, at least. For men, it's like 33 to 34 is the median age, and for women, I think it's 31 to 32. But for sure, the median age for marriage for women specifically is not ages 18 to 24. I'm sorry. I know the men get on here and say they like youth fertility and they want to only marry these young girls, and that's fine. And it's fine if you're even a young woman between in that age group yourself and you're trying to get married before 25. Nothing is wrong with that as a woman if that's your choice. But what I'm saying is, if that is your choice and just in general, that's not what's majority of the time happening. And for a woman who chooses to do that, she has to also understand that you're a minority in that age group of women, because majority of women 18 to 24 are not to the altar to marry these men. They're not begging these men to impregnate them and be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. It's just not happening. So the guys can get on here and say what they desire, what they value, and what they want. They can get on here and say that all day. They can get on here and say they wish and desire the sky to be purple, but that doesn't mean that in reality it's happening. In reality, people get married after 30. In reality, which is what I'm about to show you right now, which just came out from the US Census in 2020, birth rates for women in their 20s have declined significantly. However, for birth rates for women in their 30s have drastically increased compared to like 20 years ago from the last census. So that's what these men don't understand. That's the next part of this little clip. They started talking about, which I feel like I could talk about all day, is the pregnancy thing and the age and, geriatric pregnancy. So I want you guys to understand some things about this. That is true that the later both men and women wait to have children, your eggs and his sperm is not at the highest quality it once was when y'all were 21 and when y'all were 25, as it is if you guys are 35 and 45. That is actually a scientific fact. However, that doesn't mean that your ability to procreate and reproduce at 35 to 45 is 100% eliminated. That's not true. It just means that in the event that a situation happens during your pregnancy, in the event that happens is most likely to occur. If it occurs, it's most likely to occur when you are over the age of 35. If it does, doesn't mean it will. Okay, doesn't mean it will. And then when you go through the comments on this video, it's like 8,000 comments. You got a woman about they were married at 35, first child at 37, pregnant again at 42, and my husband adores me. And men are just in the comments, oh, that's not the exception. I mean, or that's not the rule, you're the exception, or whatever the heck they want to say. Like, just denying, flat out denying that it's possible for women to have children at 38 and 39, to get married at 36. Black women at that. Black women, white women too. Okay? So I don't know what planet Mars that these men, what kind of Mars they're living on, or what type of stuff they're sipping on planet Mars to make them think that once you turn 30, you have no value, you're useless, your entire, everything that makes you wonderful just goes down the drain. That's not reality. That's not reality. Let me show y'all this report. Hold on. This report from the census has been tracking fertility rates from 1990 to 2019. And it says, oh wait, let me share it. This report will tell you directly that women over 30 are very much still having children. Women over 30 are very much so still valuable and useful when it comes to wanting to get pregnant and start a family once you get married. You can have just as much of a healthy pregnancy at 35 and 45 than you could at 25 for a vast majority of women. The majority of women are not, I repeat, are not out here dying at childbirth if they get pregnant and decide to carry past the age of 35. Okay, I repeat, the majority of women 35 and up that get pregnant and choose to give birth are perfectly fine. It is a minority of women that either don't make it or have large complications. The only thing is you have more of a risk, but that doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. Doesn't mean that at all. First of all, the female body, from the time you get your period till you get menopause, was created to get pregnant and give birth. Okay, your body knows what it's doing. As a woman, your body knows what it's going through when you conceive, when you have a fetus implanted on your uterus. It's not some foreign concept to your body. Like, your body literally has a monthly cycle in preparation for this, or it was waiting for this to happen and it didn't, so you got your period that month. That happens every month. Like, your body is every month waiting to get a fetus on there, and when it doesn't happen, then you get your period. So all of this talk like women's bodies just automatically fail past the age of 35 and you're so useless and have no real value for men who want children because you're still single at 35 is a lie. It's a flat out lie, and it's actually such a lie that women have been delaying having kids in marriage. Women, like I said before, women are not out here running to the altar begging to get impregnated barefoot in the kitchen from ages 18 to 24. That's not happening as much as the men want it to. It's just not going on. It's not happening at all. Okay, so this says overall fertility trends from 1990 to 2019. And by the way, this came out April 6th, y'all, of 2022. This is a recent report from the U.S. Census Bureau. Okay, y'all know when I come on here to show y'all stuff, it's from government websites. I'm showing it live. I'm not photoshopping and cropping things out and showing it to y'all later. Like, we're looking through it together, okay? Like, we're not, like, we get down to the nitty gritty. Overall fertility trends from 1990 to 2019 were relatively stable compared to previous decades, but varied significantly by age, according to a Census Bureau analysis. The analysis, which looked at Census Bureau and National Center for Health Statistics data, shows fertility rates for women ages 18 to 24 declined by 43%, while those of women ages 35 to 39 increased by 67% during the roughly 30-year period. Y'all, like, I've talked about this so much in my content already about what women are actually out here doing today, the options that we have. And I'm a Christian woman, I'm a conservative woman, I'm traditional, but that still doesn't mean I'm ignoring reality and what's really going on. And the reality of it is, women have a lot more choices and options to pretty much live life in any type of way that they want, in any type of order that they want, and it can actually work. It can. So this whole like ideology that women can't, quote unquote, have it all, I wouldn't say like you can't have it all, like you deserve this fantasy life with no issues whatsoever, because life is life. You're going to go through ups and downs, but you can, quote unquote, have it all in terms of you can plan out your life in ways that are different than everyone else, and it can still work for you and work for anyone else that's involved in your life as well. It can be a joint decision, a joint situation. You and your man can decide to have kids at a later time. Y'all can start a business together first. Y'all can invest in property first. Y'all can, just be companions and then choose to actually legally marry once you guys I don't know, are done with your PhDs together, whatever. Like there's so many different ways women are planning their life, and no one is saying it's wrong, because it's not, because everyone is still getting what they desire in the end. And that's really all that matters. Because when you're going to birth children, you need to birth them in homes that are happy as possible, as positive, and at least stable, not perfect, but the best that you can. And some people are people today especially are really understanding that and taking their time when they talk about having children and getting married. Women women are like getting their stuff together, finishing college, starting businesses, they're investing, they're still dating, they're still meeting men, they're still getting into relationships, but they're being strategic and they're vetting better and they're choosing men who are on the same page. They're not just settling for whoever, whenever, and just all willy-nilly with it. Like, that's not how you guys should be moving, because at the end of the day, you're the woman who's going to be getting pregnant if that's what you want. You're the one carrying this child for 9 months. You're the one who's going to be in a very vulnerable state when you're pregnant, and even postpartum, you're still pretty vulnerable, especially like if you plan to breastfeed and things like that. Just the fact that you'll have an infant who needs a lot of attention and care, you'll be very vulnerable in that situation, and you have to take your time and be strategic, not just with your finances and with your economic status, but also with the man you have by your side. Like, you need to vet properly. And men that are on here really like believing that women are just useless and have no real value past the age of 35, especially when it comes to their fertility, those are not the type of men. I mean, I think we all know this, but they're definitely not the type of men that you need to live in a household with, depending on, to protect and provide for you when you're in that most vulnerable time of your life, which is when you're pregnant and postpartum and just raising an infant in general. You need a man who's much more understanding, and open, and he is not so closed-minded and fixated on these I don't want to call them lies, because it is riskier when you're older, but just these false kind of like narratives that just because something is more risky doesn't mean it's guaranteed to fail or not work or not give you the result that you want. You know what I'm saying? So I'll put this link in the chat, or in the description, I mean, if you guys want to read more about this. But this is a real thing. The new wave for women everywhere, no matter her race, no matter her income, college educated or not, the new wave is to have children after 30. Just saying. I mean, I'm just saying. And it's a big shift. It's a big shift in age, compared to 1990. In 1990, there were 31 and a half births for every 1,000 women ages 35 to 39. In 2019, there were 52.72 births for every 1,000 women ages 35 to 39, a 67% increase. But overall fertility rates declined because the jump in birth rates of older women was not enough to offset declines in birth rates for younger women. So either way, the birth rates are rising for women over 30. It is fine. It's safe. It's not like this doomsday if you get pregnant over 35. It's really not. If you're a woman who's dedicated to being healthy, and especially that, if you're, healthy, whatever healthy looks like to you, you at least don't have any predisposed like autoimmune diseases or anything like that, you should be fine. I mean, I think I talked about my cousin on here. She has sickle cell anemia. She's an ovarian cancer survivor, and she had 2 kids. And the doctors told her that every time she gets pregnant, if she chooses to get pregnant again, there's a 100%, like, they were so just dead set on her not surviving pregnancy, let alone birth. And she's 100% fine now. She has her 2 boys with her husband, and she is definitely under the age of 40. I think she's like in her mid 30s right now. She just had her baby last year, or I'm sorry, earlier this year. They have like an infant right now. So, and she has health issues herself. Oh, and she's diabetic. Yeah. Diabetic, sickle cell cancer survivor. She had 2 boys without an issue over the age of 35. Yeah. It's not like, of course, it's definitely risky. For her case, that's very, 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 very risky, right? Because some women get, I guess you can get some form of diabetes just from being pregnant. And she already had it. She already had type 2 diabetes, and she still was able to get pregnant naturally, carry her own children, and birth them herself. So, you know, hey, like, it's a risk. There's lots of risk, but that's not a guarantee. There's a difference. U.S. Census Bureau, guys, everything that the men are saying about women having kids over 35 on here in the red pillars and all that stuff it's not reality. Still very much okay. It's actually much more popular for you and normalized now for you to have kids over the age of 30. Selfishless says, I went out with my 49-year-old cousin and she couldn't keep the men off her. She is beautiful. You are not optionless just because you age. Exactly. You're not. You're not. And also in those comments, they were talking about, all the Black women were like, this is a white woman problem, like with the whole aging thing. Because, Black women, we don't age the same as other races of women. We tend to still look pretty young, well into our 40s and 50s, some even 60s, especially today with all the knowledge on skincare that's out there, knowledge that our grandmothers didn't have. We have that today. So I think that Black women who are in their 20s and 30s today, or even 40s, are going to look even younger when they turn 60 and 70. Because everyone now knows how to take care of their skin. Everyone knows to get facials and moisturize and sunscreen. And, the wellness movement for Black women, especially, and just really all women in general, is running rampant. And it's very hard to not consume this information on how to take better care of yourself so that you literally don't age naturally, right? Without the Botox. And then, of course, Botox is an option. Botox works amazingly for some people. And, hey, I don't plastic surgery shame. That's one thing about me. If you want to get a little nip tuck, tummy tuck or something, that I don't shame anyone for doing anything like that. But "18 to 24-year-old women aren't even a large population." Yeah, they're not. They're actually not. The minority group of women across all races are women ages 18 to 24. Majority of women in this country that are single and have no children are women older than the age of 24. Even older than the age of 30, actually. So these men want to get on here and talk all this stuff. They're passing up on good women that are healthy and still fit at like 35 to 40 at least, and passing them up all because of their age. But this woman could birth your next legacy of like 3 kids without an issue, and you're passing her up to chase a 23-year-old girl who is not worried about you. Like, what 23-year-old woman by and large are checking for men in their 40s? There's probably some, of course, but as a majority group of women in that age group, like, they're not they're not checking for men that are old. I'm sorry. They're not. First of all, younger men are much more attractive. And there's lots of studies out there that will tell you that women were surveyed across all ages, and all of the women from oldest as 50 to the younger woman, down to the younger women, all agree that younger men look better than older men by and large in these particular surveys, at least. I mean, there's some good looking older men, but majority of older men don't look very good, and they're old. Okay, they can't keep up with these young girls, if you know what I'm saying. They need Viagra and all this crap. Why do you think Viagra was created? Like, these men walk around like they're just gonna turn into Superman the older they get. Like, hello, Superman stage is for younger men who can be up in the gym and pump up some iron and not have a problem. Like, that Superman stuff isn't happening with men in their 50s. That's some old man sugar daddy stuff. That's what happens to men in their 50s, not the Superman stuff. Okay? That don't happen to men in their 50s. These men are on here talking like they have all this time in the world. Pretty much everyone can get married whenever they want. However, you are most likely to find your mate, but in a specific time in your life. I mean, in the most natural way, in the most easiest way, at least. Like I just said, you can get married at any time, but majority of people all got married within a certain time frame. So that's why they're saying, like, you have this time frame of when you're most likely to marry. And that's between your late 20s and your early 30s. Everyone at least is married once. Like, maybe you got divorced or whatever, but usually people get married in that age group, like 27 to like 34. So, like these younger women aren't even a lot, and majority of them are not trying to marry men that are going to be in a wheelchair in 10 years, maybe even 5. Because I've also shown y'all on my channel, for Black men in particular who are saying this stuff on the internet, Black men, only about less than 40% of them even live past the age of 55, according to the 2019 Black Census report, which I've also showed on my channel. So I don't know. We all saw Kevin Samuels. He was up on here every single night with the suits and all of that. And then boom, he was gone the next day. And it was a shock to a lot of people. It honestly shocked me because he was not a big man. He was not obese, and he was out here popping out content every day. So it's like you just get used to the guy and he's just gone. But then his age was revealed and he's 56. And then when I look at the data, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Because only less than 40% of Black men in total live past the age of 55. So like it just makes sense. I mean, RIP, but the data, the numbers don't lie in that. Acts of Art of Aries says they act like our bodies just stop working after 30. Actually, our bodies amp up sexually on our 30. Yeah, this is actually a fact. Women get more into having sex the older that they get, and it's the opposite a little bit for men. Men don't really, like I just said, that's why they got Viagra. Like, men can't really get it up and keep up the older that they get. Their testosterone drops significantly. And testosterone, I know, is like a hormone that contributes to being aroused. And men lose that the older that they get. I think it does kind of increase for women the older that they get, which could explain why women are much more aroused when they get older. But my cousin married her husband at 36, had a child at 37 and 40. My cousin is a nurse and she married a doctor. These people only live life on YouTube and not in the real world. Exactly. Very true. It's very easy to get caught up in this stuff and forget about reality. But reality dictates that women are having kids post 30 and getting married. Because men are visual at the end of the day. That's first and foremost. When a man sees you, he's looking at how you look. He's not really, at first, he's not instantly thinking about your age and if you're a single mother. That's something he may be curious about later. But first and foremost, when he sees you, like, is putting away his stuff and then lifts up his head and sees you walk in the door, he's looking at your beauty and how attractive you are instantly. Ray says Tyrese just learned that lesson. Yeah. Yes, I saw that. And from my understanding, I think Tyrese was married and left his wife because he believed the grass was greener. Well, apparently not. Because the younger woman that he believed he deserved didn't believe that she deserved him or wanted him, really. That's really what it comes down to. She didn't want him. I think that's the same for Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan. Lori Harvey's 25. You know, she is not concerned with being married to Michael B. Jordan. And the crazy thing is, Michael B. Jordan is like the poster child for the good, handsome, well-to-do black man, and not even he was good enough. So I actually was looking at them like they were going to get married, though. I'm not even gonna lie. I really did. So when they broke up, I was low-key kind of shocked. I was like, oh, well, dang, then who's she gonna, I really wonder who she's gonna settle down with when she's ready to do so. But there's a lot of women who don't believe that they should be settling down when they're young. They want to live their life, and that doesn't mean sleeping with a bunch of guys and doing the most, but that could mean just experiencing things, learning how to be a better woman, working on themselves, and then settling down when they believe they have come into this evolved new woman that they're striving to be. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because usually younger people in general, according to the data, they're a little bit more likely to divorce compared to people who marry and they're older, like later 20s, early 30s. So, okay. And also with that, so let me just play it one more time just so I make sure. Fertility, and they've got
right? So the way you're thinking is like a woman.
You don't have someone at 35 doesn't mean you keep going to 60 and 70. Again, going to extremes.
I'm 53. That's not extreme.
No, but you keep mentioning 60.
Talking to your
70.
mic. Talking to your mic.
You keep mentioning 60, 70. That's extreme from 35.
But
that's
I'm
because
53.
you don't go from, you haven't mentioned, okay, a woman at 40. You're jumping years. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying just because, my point is, to begin with, just because you're 35 and you're single doesn't mean you'll be single at 40, at 60, at 70.
Well, but the problem is at 35, you've lost all the things that men value. That's the problem, because men value femininity, fertility, and they value youth. So you can't say you're youthful when you're almost halfway through your life. Like, you can't say you're fertile when you're about to have geriatric pregnancy. So it's like, and you look worse than you did at 25, right? So the way you're thinking is like a woman.
You don't have someone at 35 doesn't mean you.
Okay, so I wanted to play it one more time. There's also one other part or something else that I want to show you guys. Again, regarding I guess the fertility thing, but also just, I think you guys someone said it here in the chat. Yes, Out of Ari says, for some reason, you got people wanting women to pop out babies as soon as our periods start. Why? So, yeah, exactly. It's this expectation that younger women are, supposed to be popping out kids. And like I just said, according to science, the healthiest time for both men and women to have children is when they're both younger, because your egg and his sperm is at its healthiest when it's younger, particularly his sperm. A man's sperm is at its highest quality when he's a younger man compared to when he's like a 50, almost 60 something year old guy, or even in his 40s, because his testosterone drops and all this other stuff. Right? But, however, younger people, I think I've said this before, even on my channel, younger people aren't even sleeping together. Okay? Let me show you guys this. Younger people, I've said this before, this came out February 3rd. Younger people are the most abstinent and sexless than ever before. So I know Roe versus Wade happened and I gave my take on it, but one of the things I said in that live was that Roe versus Wade is going to affect a lot of people. However, there's also going to be a good chunk of younger people it's not going to affect, because younger people aren't even sleeping with each other in the first place. So there's not going to be any pregnancies to worry about. No one's really having sex. You know what I mean? So it was another article that came out. I'm going to pull it up too, and we'll go over it as well. But a researcher, Kate Julian, she wrote a report, The Sex Recession, and she published it in the Atlantic magazine. She basically listed 7 reasons why younger people aren't even sleeping together. So, the funny thing is that these men are, fantasizing about marrying and impregnating these girls ages 18 to 24. But at the end of the day, they're the most likely to be abstinent. Really, all women technically are more abstinent and abstaining from sex than ever before. And men, there's a lot of young male virgins. Okay, there's a lot more virgins out here that are full-blown adults over the age of 21. People just aren't sleeping together. So all of this that these men want and expect of women, wanting you to give it up on the third date, wanting you to, not waste his time. Look, he can, like I said before, these men can want whatever they want. The reality is, these younger girls that they're claiming are the sexiest, are the most beautiful, are the most youthful and fun to be around, aren't trying to sleep with y'all. They're not. Women in general are not. And the Roe versus Wade, that, I think that made it even worse. That made even more women want to be abstinent, especially if they live in those states, if they know they can't risk getting pregnant whatsoever because maybe they don't have health insurance, they come from a single parent home, or they're on government assistance and live by themselves and they're barely getting by. Those types of girls for sure are going to be quick to jump on the abstinent train just because of that, especially if they're totally not open to having a child anytime soon. They're just going to abstain until they can't anymore or whatever, but they're probably at least not going to be as loose as they once were. No judgment, but I'm just saying. So, they put 7 reasons on here, but I would like to include Roe versus Wade as reason number 8. I've seen women everywhere now say, okay, I'm abstaining. That's it, because the option for an abortion is gone in their state now. It is what it is. So, they're fantasizing about girls that are the minority, that are the least likely to get with them, and are also the least likely to even sleep with them. One night stand and all. Okay. And in these 7 reasons they give, the first one, in the space of a generation, sex has gone from something most high school students have experienced to something most haven't. People now in their early 20s are 2.5 times as likely to be abstinent as Generation Xers were at that age. 15% reported having had no sex since they reached adulthood. In the US, about 60% of adults under age 35 now live without a spouse or a partner. Of course, that doesn't mean they live without sex. In Japan in 2015, and we already know Japan is like, they don't even look at each other over there. It's really interesting. 43% of young people ages 18 to 34 were virgins. Married people were not having much sex either. 47% said it had been more than a month since they had sex. So that's her intro. Okay, here's her actual reasons. My bad. So the first reason is parental pressure. She's it's the parents' fault. That's one of the reasons author Kate Julian posits for the decline in sex among young adults, invoking the term of derision, helicopter parents. She says that parents' anxiety about their children's educational and economic prospects has increased. Parents are urging their kids to building their credentials in high school and college rather than investing in romantic relationships. They are also supervising their kids more closely, leaving them with less free time or fooling around away from watchful eyes. So I think this is definitely 100% a fact. 100% a fact. But then at the same time, when I read this, I was like, I can't really blame parents because look how expensive it is to live in our society today. Like, you better hope that your kid has a plan to make money for themselves and to take care of themselves and to not be totally fixated on relationships, especially like when people know the divorce rates. The divorce rates are pretty high. So I can understand why parents are urging their children, just in case you get divorced or not, to have some kind of a skill, have education or something in your pocket to support you. But too much of this pressure, definitely can make kids antisocial. Like when I was in college, I totally met a lot of kids, especially kids from like um, families that came from another country where they are laser focused on their studies. I had a roommate and she didn't go out and do anything. She didn't mingle with anybody. She only hanged out with gosh, what is that society in colleges? And it's like only for people that have high GPAs. I forgot. But she was a part of that little society. And so she was only hanging out with girls from that society. And she never dated guys. She never went out to do anything. Her nights were spent inside studying or reading her favorite books. And that's fine, but it's college. Like, she wasn't trying to get to know anybody. And college is an amazing time to, go out there and date. And there's a lot of people who meet their husbands, a lot of women who meet their husband in college. They graduate together and they get married and decide to start a life together. That's very normal. I've had plenty of friends from high school who've done that as well. Nothing wrong with that at all. And that's usually where the younger women who do get married, that's usually how it's happening. They're meeting their husbands in college. They're not graduating college just to go off and find some 38-year-old man at the age of 21 to marry. Like, that's no. But my old roommate, like, she didn't really do much of anything. And I mean, that's cool. That's fine. No, not trying to shame her or anything, but it was interesting. And she did tell me her family was very strict. She was from a different country, and she never talked about even liking a guy or entertaining the thought of like having a boyfriend. She was all about her books and being a high achiever. And she confirmed to me that the pressure was from her parents. She claimed she loved to read and write and do things like that, but I can tell it was a heavy influence from her family to really be into those things. So reason number 2, bodily self-consciousness, distraction, sleep deprivation, and other sources of inhibition. Young adults may be having less sex because their potential for being aroused is being undermined in many ways. Digital distractions are among the most obvious potential culprits. Sleep deprivation doesn't help either. Having a negative body image or feeling self-conscious about your naked body can also stand in the way of sexual fulfillment. And Julian suggests that today's young adults may struggle more with these issues. So, yeah, that's a fact. I don't feel like this is new information. I think probably throughout the past few decades, people that don't feel sexy aren't going to be the most inclined to participate in sex. I think that's kind of a natural thing. But with all the imagery that we're hit with every day on social media, it is very easy to develop like a higher sensitivity to these images of incredibly fit women and feeling pressure to look like that. And if you don't, then, you're not very sexy. And then you get to see all these comments and all the likes on the pictures to make it obvious that men and women consider that the standard of beauty. And if you don't meet that, you're not really going to feel confident in your relationships and being physically intimate. So that is true. The number 3, the problem with dating apps. Oof, child. Now, I said in a live that Black women in particular are having amazing results with dating apps as of recently, specifically since the pandemic, that Black women are getting more responses, matches, and ending up in relationships. Because I went over in that live, I went over how they brought up that study that Black women are the least checked for on dating apps. So they concluded that we're the least desired. Well, that's actually changed. And like I've always speculated, it may seem in these statistics and in these studies that Black women are the least desired, but it's really because Black women haven't been opening up their options to dating different kinds of men. Well, finally, during the pandemic, Black women have been starting to open up, and that has changed drastically. And Black women are through the roof getting what they desire in their love life. They're finding mates in all different colors, in all different places. So that stuff is old news. But there's still a problem with dating apps as well. And I think that just being on a dating app and knowing you have a bunch of people to swipe on and you can always jump on one, I think that plays a part into it, because if you always know there's somewhere else you can go to find someone, you may not be that invested in your current person, which takes away your physical, sexual, mental, emotional attraction to them. That's kind of my thing. But it says here it might seem like the proliferation of dating apps has made it easier to find dating partners, but that is not necessarily so. Kate Julian found that Tinder tends to be a huge waste of time. It takes an average of more than 60 swipes to get one match, and many matches do not result in a two-way exchange of text messages. And of course, the matches are not evenly distributed. The highly photogenic people, as Julian tactfully puts it, are the ones finding dating apps most useful. The expectation that people will use dating apps to connect with other people has, Julian believes, a troubling implication. The kinds of casual overtures that people used to make now seem creepy. Apparently, that even applies to striking up conversations at bars. Now, this, I definitely believe this is a fact. Like, during the pandemic, I did do like the most online dating. And when I finally started going out again and men would approach me, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, a man is approaching me. Like, it kind of made me forget that like, how to interact with men romantically from cold approach, because I'm so used to the online thing and just typing it out and looking at the profile and seeing if I like the guy. The cold approach, it kind of was like, oh my God, like, wait, is he flirting with me? Wait, I don't know. I'm not used to this in-person interaction. I only do it online. So it's like, I personally can find some truth to this, that it can seem a little creepy when you finally get off the apps and meet people online. It's a little more nerve-wracking because you're not as comfortable doing things in person as you are online. So the fourth reason, hookups instead of romantic relationships. If young people were having copious amounts of hookup sex, then maybe their overall rates of sex would not be decreasing, even though they are dating less often and are less likely to have special romantic relationships. Actual rates of casual sex, though, have not lived up to the hype. Roughly 1/3 were abstainers. They opted out of hookup culture entirely. A little more than 1/3 were dabblers. They hooked up sometimes, but ambivalently. I don't know how to say that word. Less than 1/4 were enthusiasts who delighted in hooking up. The remainder were in long-term relationships. The percentages probably translate into something like this: 33% abstainers, 35% dabblers, 23% enthusiasts, 9% long-term. So that's interesting. So because hookups are such a thing, it's actually making men and women not want to engage in hooking up, I guess. 33% of people are abstaining, 35% dabble in it, 23% love it, 9% are into the long term. That's interesting for sure. Young people don't really like hooking up then. Sex is bad or painful. I'm going to just skim through this. Ooh, today's adults feel freer to say no to sex they don't want. Ooh, Julian also believes that women are now valuing their female friends more. She seems to attribute that to their disappointment with men in romantic relationships. Wow. And the author didn't agree. The author said, I think that interpretation on its own is demeaning. My reading of the relevant information is that appreciation for our friends is growing, even apart from any bad experiences with heterosexual romantic relationships. Damn. So, women in particular just don't think men are all bad today. The average man that all the men on here tell you to settle for are actually not worth it. And they'd rather just be on their own, be with their girls, accomplish their goals, and keep it pushing. Young people, y'all. The women that the men are fantasizing about all the time on the internet, easily women between the ages of 18 to 24, for sure, are finding men boring and lame. Sorry. And I think this is among young people in general. So just imagine, like, if young people in general are finding each other not very interesting, what makes you think the women from this group are going to find older men even more interesting? There's already an age difference, and like, what do you really have in common with someone that's 15 years of different age than you? What really do you have in common with that person? They're from like a whole different generation. I'm not saying you can't find anything in common with certain people, but just in general, there's a lot of different things you guys probably won't be able to relate to. Unless you know, like I just said, get to know someone individually and you guys can build a connection from there. But from the outside, just surface level, especially the way these guys are talking on here, specifically these older men fantasizing and worshiping younger women, these younger girls don't have nothing in common with you. Tyrese and that girl that we just like brought up, she probably faked the whole thing for a bag, if we're keeping it real. But in general, she probably doesn't really have any real connection to him. He's like almost 50 and she was what, 23? Like, come on. Number 6, people are satisfying their sexual desires, just not with other people. Although rates of intercourse have been decreasing, the main finding that the Atlantic article was trying to explain, that doesn't mean that people are not experiencing sexual pleasure. One of the studies Julian mentioned found dramatic increases in rates of masturbation from 1992 to 2014, double for men. In 2014, 54% said that they masturbated in a given week, and more than triple for women. Dang. Wow. So women are masturbating more. That's a thing. Number 7, the rise of individualism means that people have more opportunities to live the lives they want, not the ones dictated by norms or pressures. That is true too. Like I just said, women today, they have options. We can all choose to do what we want and plan our lives the way we want to. So this is a very interesting article. And I wanted to show you guys this along with the census study to tell you that women over the age of 30 are having children the most, more than ever, and they're perfectly fine. And younger women, which the men are saying are the most valuable, are not out here even sleeping with them. They're abstinent. They don't even find men in their own age group interesting, and they're not going to find old, ran through men that cry on the internet any more interesting either. It's just not happening like that out here, for real. Brooklyn says is about control. The younger a woman is, the less aware she is about the world. Less life experience equals ability to be controlled. Yeah, that is true. Um, you know, they claim that younger women tend to be a little bit more gullible because they don't have a lot of experience. They haven't been through much. And so they're a little bit more gullible, a little bit more naive, and they're easier to control and manipulate. And that is why spaces for women to educate women, to share experiences and wisdom amongst women is so very important. And I think that, these spaces, all kinds of different spaces have been around for a while, and women are actually catching on. And I think this article kind of proves that, like, they're not finding men very interesting. They're not falling for it anymore, these younger girls. They're paying better attention, and they're realizing that life on their terms with people that they love is more beneficial than settling for any of these guys. Now, like I always say as well, I'm a traditional woman. I actually am pro marriage, I am pro motherhood, but that is your choice. Like, I don't believe that it should be forced onto you. And I wanted to create a space for other like-minded Black women, but this can't be something that you feel pressure to do, because then you're not going to get the best results. Then you're going to get desperate. Then you're going to make the wrong decisions and choices. You're not going to be able to understand certain things, and you'll be blind to the red flags that are in your face. This has to be a genuine desire. And so for the woman that genuinely desire that type of life, where you do have a husband, where you are a mom, you should be celebrated just as much as the women who choose not to have that, or maybe they choose to have it at a different stage in their life, when they're done with school, when they have their business, when they own 2 properties, like whatever. Right? So the pressure that a lot of women are experiencing, however, they're coming a lot from the men. So that's why I make this kind of content, to debunk all of these false like narratives, these pressures. There really is no pressure, ladies. If you want to be traditional today, or you want to wait and be traditional in 10 years, whatever, that's your choice. And it's not wrong. Like, I have my personal beliefs, but it's not something that I'm going to push onto everyone else. And just regardless of what we all believe, reality is still happening. We still have to pay attention to what's really going on, and how people are actually moving, and what's actually working and what's not. And the reality of it is, women are waiting longer to marry. They are waiting longer to have kids. And when they wait at a later age to have children, they are fine. Okay. Nothing is really happening to them. They're still having healthy pregnancies and birthing healthy babies and remaining healthy after that. Okay. I think also Jane Aiko and Big Sean, right, just came out and said that they're having their child. Jane Aiko's 34. I don't know how old Big Sean is. I think he's probably in his 30s too. But Jane Aiko's 34 years old, and she looks really, really good for her age. Don't get me wrong. She's always been a petite woman. And I think she's very she kind of strikes me as into health and stuff, like the holistic bohemian vibe, I guess. So I don't know if she seems to me like she takes very good care of herself in general. But women have those options. Like, if you just live a good life and you're healthy, take care of yourself, you can be okay. You're not doomed. So when they spread annoying messages like this that that indicate that you've hit the wall and all this other stuff at the age of 30, it's a lie. No such thing as the wall, okay? Women are killing it out here after 30 and after 35 and well into their 40s. It's not ending for women. And miserable men want to sit on here and act like it is. Who's going to love you when you're 60 and 70 if you're not married, and you're only the most valuable for marriage when you're 23 years old, and just moved out of the house for the first time. That's the only time you're valuable as a wife. Look, men are shooting themselves in their own foot when they continue to say stuff like this. There's amazing women out here of all ages, and you're rejecting majority of the female population in this country when you say that women are only valuable at 23 to start a family with, and just in general to be around. Okay, it's going to be a lot of single men out here that are going to be by themselves. And I'm also starting to notice too, this might be another conversation that we can have, but there's a lot of guys who we already know don't really like women. They're sexually and, well, for the most part, sexually attracted to women, but they don't really like women. Instead, they are more emotionally attracted to other men. The whole bros before hoes type of thing. These guys are out here doing everything for their boys, trying to look a certain way and do certain things and accomplish certain things, not for their woman, but for their boys, for other men. Okay, this is a big thing that's happening right now. And I see it all of the time. Even other men are coming out and confirming this. Oh my God, there was a TikTok of a guy and he was saying this. Ooh, I'm gonna try to find it and talk about it and include it in the conversation next. But be careful out here, ladies, when you're dating, because there's just a lot of guys who literally only want to use you for whatever youth you got, whatever fertility you got. They are not interested in you as a human being. There's a lot of them out there, and I don't want to fearmonger either, because I'm pro marriage and pro relationships, and I'm pro getting with a man and having a healthy, fulfilling relationship. But that doesn't mean that you won't come across some frogs, okay, on your way to your prince, okay? So you're gonna have to be prepared on how to handle those frogs, how to identify them, and not let them like intercept on your life and screw up anything that you got going on. Maybe not anything you got going on, but your emotional health. Like, there's women out here on Reddit. I was on Reddit and this girl was talking about how she was talking to a guy who he was great, he was everything, and he just ghosted her, and she like couldn't handle it. She was so heartbroken, and they'd only been like talking for, I don't know, like a month. Then she went out and saw him somewhere with another woman, and she came back home and cried. She was saying that she masturbates to the thoughts of him, and she called up another guy to sleep with him. She called up another man to sleep with, but was thinking about this guy that ghosted her the whole time. So ladies, you don't want to be, I was reading that stuff like, sis, you are down bad. Like, this is unacceptable. You guys, we've got to notice these things. Like, we've got to notice the frogs, okay? Because we all come across them. If you're actively dating and dating with intention, you're going to come across some frogs. And these frogs just want to, they want one thing. The men come on here and blatantly say that they want one thing. And then some of them have some kind of, I don't know, they're a little more descriptive and say they want more than one thing, which is your fertility and your youth and all of that. But a lot of guys, especially when I hear Black men on here say this, they don't even marry the most compared to other groups of men. So I'm really confused on how this new movement of conservative, traditional minded Black men, and where the heck did this come from? Because according to the statistics, they're non-existent. 70% of Black men are of marriage age and single. Okay, so where are these traditional men? Real traditional men are not out here talking about how they're traditional. They're actually living a traditional life. They have wives, they have children. Even they're protecting, they're providing for their loved ones. They're not out here trying to shame women. I want to show you guys one more thing, because I saw it on another live on like someone else's. I saw it myself, and then someone else talked about it, and I kind of want to give my take on it. I don't know if you guys watch this. I'm sure y'all have heard of it. They've been around for a while. Let me see. I don't really watch them. And the women that are on this panel, I'm not going to say that some of the things they say I agree, some of the things I don't, honestly. But they had a point in this particular video. Where is it? Okay. Hold on. But I'm going to show you guys this clip about how, about how these Black men are trying to be traditional, be protective, and all this stuff. And you know what? Hey, if they just want to come on the internet and proclaim that they're trying to change as a group of men and all of a sudden be traditional, all of a sudden love having a wife, all of a sudden come from a single mother home but know how to be the best husband ever, okay, fine. If y'all want to come on here and start saying that in 2022, okay. But however, let's not get carried away, because the numbers are what they are. What's happening in reality is happening, and that is that Black men are not first in line to commit and have families and just in general be traditional. It's not going on like that. So okay. I'm sure you guys have seen this YouTube channel. I do not watch them, but I saw the clip, and so I continue to just watch this particular part that was being played. But I want us to listen to these two people interact with each other. Okay, hold on.
On this episode of Lapeef, let's talk.
It's about men being physically strong, right? It's a thing that we have lacking with our women. And then guess what? I understand people say it's my household, it's my wife, it's my husband, and this and this and this, and my. And the thing is that woman, if you let her be like that, she got to go out in reality. And then regardless, women supposed to submit to men in society, because men.
Wrong. Did you hear what he said in the last part? Women are supposed to submit to men in society. So let me briefly correct him really quick. So I don't know how many of you ladies are Christian or read your Bible, but I'm Christian, and nowhere in the Bible does it say for women to submit to men. It says for you to submit to your husband. So that's one. That's like from a religious Christian perspective. And number two, from a non-religious perspective, right? From a non-religious just way of doing things in society, women aren't going around submitting to men. In our society, we live in a patriarchal society. So that basically means that men are leaders and men are in charge. Everything that we have going on was because a man and or a group of men sat down and got everything together, planned everything, built everything, and we're now flourishing and relishing in it today. But that doesn't mean that we're submitting to these guys. That just means that we're being led by them. Okay, there's a difference. When you fully submit to someone, that is like you are putting your full trust and everything and literally kind of letting them dictate, make the decisions and everything like that. But in society, women are not doing that to men. Women are not just laying by the wayside, and men are we're just following everything the men do. Not really. What we're doing is we're following, if anything, we're following the rules and laws that men set, but we're not following men. There's a huge difference. And then within that, we're also following and meeting the end goal, which is to follow the laws and the rules of society. But as women, we're doing it our way. We're not doing it the way that men tell us. What is the law here? Do not steal or do not kill or whatever. Like we're all following these laws in our own way. Like we all are not killing people because we're controlling our anger, right? We're either going to therapy or we're turning the other cheek or we're taking people to court instead of killing them. So it's like we're following and doing things in our own way. And when you submit to someone, it's not really like your way, you're submitting to their way. So you're letting their way be the way to go. I don't know how I can explain it without saying the same word over and over again, but I hope you guys know what I mean. Like we're not submitting to random men in society that we're not married to, that we're not related to, that we don't know. That's actually dangerous. If men received full and total submission from all women in society, that would be dangerous for a lot more women and children even than it is right now, than what women and children already tend to go through. So women are not supposed to submit to men in society. That's not supposed to happen. Men and women are supposed to cooperate in society, coexist in society. And since we live in a patriarchal society, men do set the rules, they do build everything, and they do protect. But what women and children are to do is to basically nurture and take care of everything that the men have built. That's like the traditional way of things. If you're traditional and if you adhere to the patriarchal way of, well, that is how we got here. We got here from being in a patriarchal traditional society before the modern times. But back then, that's how it was. Women were not out here submitting to random men on the street. That wasn't going on. First of all, women had husbands. So women were submitting to their husbands. But you could not just, as a man, you could not just contact random women on your own. You had to talk to her husband first. And if she didn't have a husband, you had to talk to her father first. Men didn't have such easy access to women like they do today back then. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing at all.
Men, because we do our job, we protect y'all. But the only problem y'all finish. See, the thing is men.
I thought that this was a police state, and we didn't need y'all to protect us because we have police officers, and y'all don't really do no protecting and leading because we had that from the government, and the government is our man, and the government
just advise men.
Make up your mind.
So she's pretty much correct. For women who don't have husbands and don't know men personally enough to be expecting them to protect you directly, we do have government, right? Like we have institutions in place to protect everyone. We have police, we do have our military, we have marshals and the Navy and all types of things available to protect people. So these black men are on here. Trying to shame and tell women about ourselves, our value, what we need to do to get their blessing and get their approval of us. But they're not understanding that in these modern times, we don't really need that type of approval from individual men in society. We don't submit. As women, we don't submit to random men that we do not know in society. We follow the rules and laws of the land, which men have set, but a specific group of men. And we follow those laws in our own way, on our terms. As long as they get followed, as long as you're not committing any crimes, as long as you aren't hurting anybody, and you're doing what you're supposed to do as a productive citizen, then you're fine. But you don't have to do them and submit to a man and do them in the exact way a man is supposed to tell you to. That's not your husband. That's 100% completely false. And I guess that's how these men today, These black men on here want it to be, but it's quite literally not reality whatsoever.
If you guys are just tuning in, welcome to Live.
No one called your name.
No one called you any names.
Make sure we subscribe.
You've gotten so emotional.
Make sure we subscribe to the
now
channel.
he's off camera.
Appreciate everything.
And you know, we're all human. It's okay to get emotional, but my thing is,
we gotta move on. We gotta move on. Okay, we gotta move on.
Sure thing.
All right. Appreciate it, man. It's getting heated. This is the last topic, y'all. Let's make sure we give it our all. We want to make sure that
we gave it our all for the last 3 quarters.
Man, I know.
It wasn't all of us. It was some of us. Okay. I got a couple of slides I want you to read. You ready? You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Wait, you want to read it? Go ahead.
Huh?
Siobhan, you want to read it?
I can.
Okay, yes, you can read it.
I don't think Siobhan
is not to the meat of the conversation, which is women can disagree with men while still yielding to the authority. It's kind of interesting.
Go ahead, Siobhan.
Talked about the last topic. Go ahead, Siobhan. Give a little context.
As women, there are a few things we need to consider. Firstly, do we respect the authority of a man? I'm not speaking of the respect given based on his occupation or social status, but rather respecting the God-given authority of a man based purely on his body.
Okay, so I know you guys see this little slide that they put up, and I as a traditional Christian woman, I do not believe in much of any of this personally, because if we're gonna bring in religion, especially into this, all of this authority and all of that is most useful to your husband. Your husband. It's not something you just give to random guys online. It's really not. Or in real life. You don't give this type of, you don't let men you don't know have authority over you just because they're men and they're born and they are strong. That's just not how it works at all. Now, in general, as human beings, what I do believe is that we should have general love and respect for other people as human beings. But the type of love and respect you give to your husband and submission you would give to a husband, even if that's even the type of dynamic you hope to have. Some couples don't have that dynamic. But if we're talking traditional here, then you give that to your husband traditionally. You don't give it to random guys. So I don't know why random men are out here telling women that this is what they need to do when they come across a man on the street just because he's born and in front of their face and has muscles and you don't. Where is that? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Actually, back in the day, like I said before, a man could never really even step to you. He'd have to step to either your husband or your father. For real. Like that, men didn't have this direct access to have authority over women like that in the first place. Okay, but there was a specific part of the video that I wanted to, is this even it? Yeah. I think yeah.
Oh,
that one's gonna
right. It's a thing that we have lacking with our women. And then guess what? I understand people say it's my household, it's my wife, it's my husband, and this and this and this and my. And the thing is that woman, if you let her be like that, she got to go out in reality. And then regardless, women supposed to submit to men in society. Because we do our job, we protect y'all. But the only problem, y'all, finish. See, the thing is men.
I thought that this was a police state, and we didn't need y'all
information more effectively.
Are still yielding to authority. Yes, they're human. They have their own thoughts.
Bag.
Let me ask you a question. You said equal accountability partners.
I was about to ask that.
I was going to say, then in the past, you've said that.
Actually, it's not.
I have to. I see with my own eyes. I seen you said out of.
You might not have had your glasses on that day.
No, what'd you say?
You might not have had your glasses on that day when you seen it with your own eyes. I didn't need my glasses.
I needed my ears. I heard you.
Nah, because you might have been looking at a man instead of looking at a woman. Clearly, because your glasses might not have been on that day.
My glasses not on. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm using your own analogy to describe how you didn't see what you thought you saw.
But like I said, but I can only say, I can't say what you do in real life.
Okay, this wasn't the exact clip I wanted. It was another clip. I think it's this one. But yes, girl, Cleo says no man has authority over me and never will. People who think like that give me creepy vibes. Yeah, you know, it's very weird. It's very strange how men who have no real stake in the game when it comes to a woman expect you to submit and follow everything they say. But at the end of the day, if you got in your own life, he doesn't have any stake in that. But when you're out and about minding your business and he steps to you, you're expected to like adhere to his demands, whatever the heck that is. Okay, this is the real, I think. So this is another thing that I'm having a problem with, these frogs. Okay, because earlier I just mentioned to you guys that when you're dating, be careful of coming across frogs, men that just aren't meant for you. They're not really, to be honest, they're really not meant for a relationship in general because of the things, the way that they think and how they talk to women and about women. There's no way that they'll be able to keep one long term. It will just be a disaster. So, you know, the whole thing with these men wanting to hold you accountable, random men that don't know you, by the way. Yes, they're random because they come out of nowhere. No, they don't know you because you ain't never met them. They don't know where you come from. They don't know anything about your life. You've never had a decent conversation with them, but yet they want to get on here and believe that they deserve your submission, your smiles, that they deserve. They also deserve the right to put you in your place, and they don't know you from a hole in the wall.
Protected and used.
Yes. And ask them why they feel protected.
I know why.
But I know you though.
Oh no. But
wait,
why?
Whoa. No, stop, Logic. If you know him, then why can't he hold you accountable?
No, we were talking about protection.
No, yeah, and now we're talking about accountability. Now you see how quick you just jumped back.
No,
if you know him, why can't? If you know him, why can't he hold you accountable?
I said, what happened to accountability? Y'all been talking about protection, and now you want to bring it back when it's convenient for you. We ain't doing it.
First off, I couldn't even get a word in with y'all goof ass talking the way y'all was talking. I'm telling you right now, how can you sit here and talk about how this man can protect you, but he can't hold you accountable?
I haven't called you anything all night.
All right, y'all.
It's so many things like that in this system. Like I just told you, if you.
Very disturbing news out of Vernon Central High School.
What's going on?
Men or women?
So now it's the government fault that y'all not.
Who made the rules? Men or women?
It's their fault now that y'all not leading effectively. It's their fault now that y'all asking for permission to lead. Because real leaders don't have to do.
And honestly, in this particular live, these women bodied these guys on this topic, to be honest. After I watched certain clips, They got them because these men, the crazy part about this holding women accountable and letting women know they have no value over a certain age and trying to put them in their place is that, you can't hold women accountable. Random men, you can't, because we all have the right to make our own choices. In this land, like I said, we live in a patriarchal society where the men made the rules. So as long as you're following the rules in your way, you still have certain freedoms to think how you want, express yourself how you want, do what you want. And the men believing that you doing what you want means they need to hold you accountable because it's not under their direction. Random men at that, not like a man that you actually are going to commit your life to. Just men, black men of the community, right? Believing they need to hold you accountable for your life. That's the crazy part. That's why I think you, who said it just now? Elegant Paul says they need to revisit the concept of manhood because they are clueless. Exactly. That's why the concept of manhood must be revisited for these men, because manhood and putting women in their place don't align. They don't align. Manhood is totally, really, it has nothing much to do with women. Manhood is about being a man, doing things that a man is supposed to do, period. Whether it's for your woman, your mama, you and your, it could even be for yourself, but it's being a man is not about putting women in their place. It's not woman centered. It's not. Just like womanhood is not man centered. It's not. It's about being a woman. It's about being a better woman in general. Without a man, you should not need a man to be a better woman. You should not need a man to be a better woman. From a Christian perspective or a religious perspective, you should be centering like your spiritual self, God, if you're a Christian, just what brings you joy and what makes you feel content. That should be your center, not a human man, because human beings are flawed. Human beings are fickle. Human beings change up and switch up. They're all over the place. They're whoop-de-woo here, then whoop-de-woo there. So you can't make them your center, especially of the opposite sex, especially on a romantic level. But powerless men will make things that have nothing to do with them gaining power, and they will make those things the center. And not only make them the center in a positive way, but make them the center as in they need to poke at it and, try to perfect it and fix it to make it seem like they're doing something. They're not. And in this case, it's women at the center, which is why they need to hold you accountable. They need to let you know that you're not valuable over 30. They need to let you know that having a kid over 35 means you're asking for a deathbed when it's not. None of it is rooted in reality. And conversations like this do nothing to change the state of anything. And the woman really bodied this conversation because they're literally asking the guys, you have a problem, but who created this system? We didn't. And they're right. Women did not create this system. Women did not create patriarchy. Men did. And it's funny how in the other video, they brought up how because men are stronger, they deserve respect and automatic submission from women in society, which is false. But it's funny how they say that, but real men who are in power, who knew that they were stronger, actually used that to build something. They didn't use that to prove to women why they deserve respect and submission. It's much easier to respect someone who built something than it is to really see any, importance in someone who just does a bunch of talking. And that's why these people who are obsessed with talking and not doing anything with their life, they just want to talk about it, they feel some type of way when you're not in agreement with them. So if you have a disagreement, if you have a different perspective or a difference of opinion, it's like you're committing the ultimate sin with them. And it's like when all you have to do is talk, then the things that other people say will piss you off even more. People that have a life and have things to do aren't bothered by the things that other people say. They don't care. They're actually out in the world living, doing, breathing in fresh air. Like, they're not out here trying to prove anything to everyone all of the time and seek some kind of validation and this like invisible cloud of respect. That's not going on with real men who are real builders. Okay, real men who are real builders are quite literally on cranes building up buildings. They're in boardrooms constructing the plans and showing PowerPoints for what's next for their new project that's going to help create more jobs for a local community, that's going to help fix the road so that people's tires aren't jacked up, so that people aren't spending money fixing up their cars so that they have more money for their household. That's what real men are doing. It's very easy to respect real men. Like, submitting to a real man isn't hard. It actually feels very natural, and you feel safe and you feel secure, and you're totally okay with your man who has proven to you he is that guy to take the lead. Like, it feels right. But a woman's intuition is very strong, and when you're with a guy and you're not feeling that safety, that security, that all that mental and emotional validation that this is a man you can submit to, you've got to listen to that. You've got to listen to that, because that is something that will help you decipher the frogs so that you can get to your prince. Like, if you're actively dating or just in general dealing with different types of men throughout life, not even romantic, co-workers, whatever. There's frogs in your work environment, okay? There's frogs that are in your friendship circle. There's frogs that are even in your family. You got to navigate through all of them so that you can create a circle of people that are for you, or at least support you. At least aren't out here trying to use you up and discard you. And usually those people have a life, okay? Usually those people aren't fixated on what you can do for them, which is quite literally kind of what this conversation is giving. These men are fixated on how women can hold themselves accountable, or just in general holding themselves accountable, when you can't hold people accountable for making their own choices and their own decisions. It's their choice. It's what they want to do.
I'm trying to make these rules. I'm trying to see what's going on.
You got it. I'm done.
Hey, cut that shit. I'm telling you, the problem is, right? You hear this a lot, even on this panel. You can't tell me what to do. How many times
Have you ever wanted to be noticed so badly? You didn't even
times have I heard the exact words on this very panel that you can't tell me shit?
Kayla, can't hold me accountable.
No, wait.
Can't hold me accountable.
You think that represents everyone? No, I'm just speaking with you about you.
Listen what I'm saying, though.
You know what I'm saying? Wait, right? Wait.
How can?
But she's right, though. Like, you as a random man who has no stake in her life can't tell her what to do. You can't. And men are to the point where they believe they can just approach you and tell you about yourself, and they really want you to respect and listen to them wholeheartedly. And that's just not how it works. In old times, the times that men swear they wish they went back to, they would have got punched and shot at if they did that to a woman, because a woman would have most likely had either her husband or her father there. And you can't just go up to women. Back then in those days, couldn't just go up to women and start talking trash all willy-nilly. That wouldn't be a reality. You would have gotten got. So now men today, it's another way of them telling you to man up and take and hear what I have to tell you as a man and fix yourself, even though I have no stake in your life, even though I have no responsibility or headship over you. I've made no commitment to you. I'm not the father of kids if you got them. I'm not trying to be the father of your kids. I'm not trying to help you pay off anything, but this is what I see about you, and you need to listen to this. And by the way, all the things that people like are different for all of us. What one man may approach you and say is a problem with you, the next man may say, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've been looking for in a woman. How can I get to know you and be a part of your life? Like, so one man telling you something does not mean that all men believe this of you. That's that one man's observation, that one man's specific moment with you that he is defining, but it doesn't mean that it is you in general. It doesn't. There's men from all over the world that have all types of different preferences and things that they admire in a woman. And there's no way, I'm sorry, there's just no way that specifically Black men can name as like a problem, and then they just assume that white men, Asian, and all types of men from all over the world just agree. That's not true, and that's not happening. Men of other cultures especially have different taste in women. They completely they have a whole different a set of criteria for women that we can obviously see are different than the men in our community. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. Because it pretty much just is the truth. So this is what I mean when I'm telling you guys to avoid these frogs, because they will swear that you have this problem. Every man can see it and it needs to be fixed. And you need to understand that one frog, you cannot allow him to mentally and emotionally mess you up. Like that girl I brought up earlier who was on Reddit wrote a whole thing about how this one man ghosted her, and so she's masturbating to him and sleeping with other men, still thinking about him. And it's okay, she's human, you know, she has to go through the process, but don't ever even allow yourself to get to that place if you can help it. Like, just don't. And she didn't say much about their interaction before, but I can guarantee you that if she dived deep into how they were together, there would have been some signs and some red flags that she probably blatantly ignored, that were leading up to him not being interested in her and letting that be known by ghosting her. Clear red flags. So pay attention to that, because these frogs will have you out here jacked up, have you out here believing that, you know, this is what it is for you, you're doomed and all this other crap. And that's just not true. Okay. And it sucks because if you're actively dating, you're talking to and just meeting a lot of people. But the thing is you just need one good tight-knit circle. You need one good man in your life for the rest of your life, if that's what you want. You don't need all of these frogs to approve of you. You really don't. It's actually okay and something that you should celebrate when a man decides to leave you alone. You should celebrate that, because he wasn't meant for you. And if he would have kept going, he probably would have wasted your time and he would have made things worse for you. That's just my personal opinion. When a man wants to leave my life, I say, great. You saved us both so much trouble. And then leave my life with no strings attached. Like, it's done and it's over with. Like, that's the best for me, because now you're creating room for the man for me to come sooner rather than later.
You expect a man to even think about leading you when you already have the mentality. Wait a minute, Kay. When you have the mentality and you tell men that you can't tell me shit. Now, this is not from Kay. This is a frequent message from Black women. You can't tell me shit.
Who gonna check me, boo?
I think people need to,
not
instead
you.
of this,
You can't.
instead of this mythical, like.
And Kayla said it straight up. She's like, not you. You can't check me. She's right. Like I just said, in olden times, that was quite literally the reality. Random men could not go out and just start checking random women without getting got by either her husband or her father. Men had Men honored women enough to not go up in their face ready to pop off and then pissed that you're not going to just let them. That's basically what this whole entire thing is about. Single men wanting husband level of submission and respect. For a man who's not your husband or father of your kids, whatever type of role that you would place as very serious in your life for a man to fill, for any man that's not within that role for you, he gets basic respect as a human being, but he does not get husband material type of level of respect, especially not submission. That was never a thing in any society, that ever. I think even in Middle Eastern society, the men don't even talk to women like that over there, right? Like, isn't the husband the one who speaks for her, who speaks to her? Like, there's men just in general who do that, like men who will get up and say, if you have something to say about my wife or to my wife, you talk to me first. Like, that's the thing that men of that men who are about something, that's something that they do. They would never just allow a man to come in his wife's face. He will stand up and look at that man and say, if you get in my wife's face and think you can say something to her, you got another thing coming. I was just watching it because it was on this weekend, that movie Pretty, I think it's called Pretty, isn't that what it's called? Pretty Woman, with Julia Roberts. And it's a long movie, but in it kind of like towards the end a little bit, she gets approached by the guy she's dealing with's friend, and he starts trying to make a move on her and touch on her and ask her, like, because she's a prostitute, so he's asking her how much does she charge and all this stuff. And her man isn't there to like defend her in that moment, but she's, telling him, get off me, you're crazy or whatever. But then all of a sudden her man busts through the door, grabs the man, and starts punching him in the face. And that's not even like his wife or whatever in the movie, but he's like in love with her. So, it's like that. Like, other men, good men, are not just gonna let or even think it's okay to see you out like talking and being addressed by other men. They're gonna step in and be like, if you want to talk to her, you talk to me first, like man to man type of thing. But these guys here, literally Kayla and the other what's her name, Kay, they're literally trying to tell them, y'all can't tell me what to do, because they can't. I'm a woman. You can't just step up in my face like you know me, like you have a specific bulletproof direction over my life that you swear I need to listen to prosper. You can't do that. You're not my man. You're not my dad. Step the hell back. But these men are sitting there literally like yelling that Black women don't allow them to tell us what to do, and they're not supposed to. None of these men are husbands to these Black women out here. But that's what happens when we have a community where not a lot of people are married, where the men aren't trying to marry, where the men don't know how to lead. So they got it all backwards, twisted up and down, topsy-turvy, and they're doing things completely like out of whack. Like, you're not supposed to, as a random man, step up to a random woman and tell her what to do and tell her about herself and her life. Just because you assume this is how she is because y'all share some commonalities. You're not supposed to do that. Men like respect, and men are to be respected, but women like to and are to be honored. And when you honor your woman, that means you don't just talk to them like you lost your doggone mind. Okay, you don't feel comfortable just stepping up to them like they're nobody when you truly honor your woman. That's what I'm saying. In previous decades and other societies, men didn't have a lot of access to women back then. So the women were highly honored and regarded. And if men wanted a wife, he had to like talk to the father and be sought out by the father and vetted from other men before he can even get access to the specific woman he's interested in. But today it's not like that. Now you got men out here just thinking that if you're sitting alone in the park reading a book, minding your own business, they can just walk up to you and tell you about yourself.
Like universal accountability thing, which makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to hold all black women or all black men or all whoever accountable. That makes no sense. Because first of all, everybody's not even doing the things that you're trying to hold them accountable for. So the best practice, in my opinion, is your family, your wife, your husband, your friends, your kids.
What husband?
People that you actually have.
What husband?
People that you actually have a vested interest in their life.
Okay.
Those are the people that you can hold accountable. Like random people can't. Like people in the comments cannot hold Siobhan accountable. People in the comments cannot hold Anton accountable. People in the comments, they can complain. They can complain all they want. But at the end of the day, those people have no bearing on.
So it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So if what you're saying, me and you go out, right? Just say we're in Atlanta and I'm with you.
What about if someone was non-binary?
Come again?
What?
So you saying
it's about to get real though. Listen, I already know where you're going. This is about to get real.
Wait. Because I'm not in your family, I can't hold you accountable, right? That what you said?
This is about to get real.
You said, can you hold?
I'm gonna answer that for her. No. Not only if you're not in her family, but you're not her man, you're not her husband. No, you can't hold her accountable. No, she's not supposed to listen and follow your instruction and submit to you just because you guys are out at a restaurant together. No. You have no real vested interest in me just because we go out to eat. You don't have no vested. If something happens, you can get up and run off and leave me hanging. So no, I'm not going to just listen to you and do everything you say, because if it fails, then I'm the one that has to deal with whatever the repercussions are while you run out and go save yourself. You're not in it 10 toes down with me. So why would I let you hold me accountable? Why would I give you submission? Like, this is crazy. And Kay literally answered the question perfectly. And the fact that they're still not buying it and agreeing, the fact that these men really believe that they should be telling you what to do and they have no vested interest, no stake in your life whatsoever is insane to me. But are still quick to tell you that you're useless over the age of 30, that your womb is rotten and decapitated at 35. Still able to tell you that they wish they had a younger, skinnier, prettier version of you, but then expect you to give them the ultimate level of respect and submission while they have no vested interest in your life and full access to tell you about yourself all of the time. Like, that's crazy. Okay? But I wanted to show y'all that there's more, but I can't at this point, But that's all I really had for this live. I'm so glad you guys stuck it out with me. It's been like 2 hours since I've been on. I'm gonna leave this live up though, because I haven't went live in a while, and I'm gonna upload some more womanhood content. I'll probably do a post to just see what kind of womanhood content you guys would like, what type of topics you want to start talking about. But I have some specific topics for different lives that I'm gonna do throughout the week, throughout the next few weeks. So yeah, make sure to like this video on your way out, comment down below what you guys thought, share it with a friend, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss it when I go live. And I will talk to you ladies in the next one.